So let me ask you this. What is your thought on what is happening in South Africa? The attacks against Africans. What is your thought? Is it a good thing? What is your thought? Is it a good thing that Africans are turning against their African brothers? Is it right? Or let me say, is it the proper way of doing things? Of course, we are all not in agreement when it comes to illegal immigration. But how the issue is being handled, do you think it's right? So let's watch what PLO Lumumba is speaking about, what is happening in South Africa. Then when we come back, we can analyze the video further. Let's watch what Lumumba is speaking about in relations to xenophobic attack in South Africa.
If Kwame was to be alive today, do you think he would be proud of the journey that Pan-Africanism is taking?
He would be disappointed when you have a French president, a former colonizer, coming to the city of Nairobi and making the unfortunate claim that he is a Pan-Africanist when we know that he is a neo-colonialist. Kwame would be disappointed. But he would also be happy that there is a crop of young men and women and even old men and women who are wedded to the ideals of Pan-Africanism. To that extent, he would know that the truth is the struggle continues, and he would say with Samora, a luta continua.
All right, to some politics now. Senegal, you've seen what is happening between Diomaye and Sonko.
So unfortunate. For those who know what happened to Thomas Sankara through Blaise Compaoré, it is almost deja vu. The French were never going to allow Senegal to be successful. I hope I'm wrong, but what I see is a replay. What I fear is that Diomaye may have gotten into the trap of the French and their acolytes, but I believe that the people of Senegal are vigilant enough to ensure that we don't have a repeat of the Compaoré-Sankara situation.
But I wouldn't let you go without saying something about South Africa.
It is a tragedy of gigantic proportions that South Africans, some of them without a sense of history, can make the unfortunate claim that they were not supported in the struggle against apartheid. They were hosted here. The frontline states bore the brunt. And it is because of their ignorance that they are saying what they are saying, calling fellow Africans makwerekwere. And my dissatisfaction, and I'm on record as having written an open letter to Matemela Cyril Ramaphosa to ask him to take charge. And taking charge does not mean merely issuing peremptory statements and perfunctory statements, but it is important that those who are in the forefront of this particular Operation Dudula are arrested and prosecuted. It is only then that we'll know that the South African government is in the forefront of the fight, not against xenophobia, it is Afrophobia. We have not seen whites who, being only 7 to 8%, occupy 70% of the land, being dealt with in the manner that Zimbabweans, Ghanaians, Nigerians, Kenyans, and Somalis are being dealt with. Why this hate? Why is it that blacks are hating their own blacks? We must, in the nature of things, do something about it. And I'm happy that President Mahama has reported this matter to the African Union. It ought to be discussed as a matter of urgency.
I think I need to be educated on something here. So is it attack against Africans, or is it attack against illegal immigrants, or is it attack against all foreigners within the country of South Africa? Because I fail to understand. If you chase away Africans, don't you think we have other immigrants in South Africa? For example, Indians. We have Indians in South Africa. Okay, we have whites who are in South Africa, and they are not original South Africans. So in one way or another, I think this one is just an attack against Africans within South Africa. And I think there is someone who is spearheading this within the continent of Africa. And that person, possibly he is in South Africa. And I want to applaud all the leaders who are against what is happening in South Africa. A good example is the EFF leader, that is Julius Malema, who is passionately and eloquently speaking about what is happening in South Africa. And he is condemning what is happening in South Africa, okay? Where Africans are attacking fellow Africans because they think that fellow Africans are in South Africa just to take their jobs away. I don't think that is the case. And in one way or another, South Africa is setting examples for Africa. Because why is it that they are going to South Africa, not in a country like Congo? Why? Because South Africa has one of the greatest, if not the best economy in Africa. That's why they are heading to South Africa. And I also think that they are in South Africa not to live there permanently, just to make money and go back to their own countries. So it is not good for we Africans to be turning against each other. So it is not good, because this was not the dreams of our forefathers. It was not. The dreams of our forefathers was Africa to unite and unite immediately. Even though we did not unite by then, it is incumbent of us, we as this generation, to make sure that Africa is seeing its potential by uniting, by opening borders, okay? Removing tariff and non-tariff barriers, so that to catapult the so-called trade between African countries. So that is what we have, or what we ought to be doing at the moment. So we are thinking about Africa Agenda 2063, yet we are now going backwards. It's so saddening, and I don't think that Africa is going to realize its potential when you have this mindset. Yes, we have illegal immigrants in South Africa. Yes, I'm not against that. We have illegal immigrants in South Africa, and illegal immigrants need to be deported back to their countries. And this means proper channel has to be followed, okay? So proper channel has to be followed for those illegal immigrants in South Africa to be deported back to their countries. If that is the case, then it's okay. We don't have a problem with that. And I also want to applaud African leaders, for example, the president of Ghana, who is unequivocally talking about this issue. Okay? And he is condemning it. He's saying that, look, you guys are not doing the right thing. So if they are illegal in South Africa, take them to the court and deport them to their countries. We have a procedure to follow. You don't need to burn their houses. You don't need to chase them like dogs. Yet these people are contributing positively to our economy. We know that South Africa has the best economy in Africa. That's why we have a lot of immigrants going to South Africa. So we have to factor this, and we have to do things in a proper way. If we do things in a proper way, then we as Africa, we are going to realize our potential. We have leaders in Africa who are trying to make sure that Africa is leading and Africa is seeing its potential. Take a good example, and I like using Traore's example, because it is President Traore the other day, I think 2 weeks ago, he invited Africans who are in the diaspora to come and invest in Burkina Faso. In return, you know what he did? He gave them permanent residency. So we have even Pan-Africans who are in Burkina Faso who are given permanent residency. A good example is Dr. Cheombori Kwao, given permanent residency in Burkina Faso. Even this Pan-Africanist by the name Joshua Maponga, he was given permanent residency because the president is seeing their contribution towards the continent, and it's incumbent of him him as the president, the head of state, to see that the country is united and to extend this concept of African integration. So, ladies and gentlemen, Africa must unite. And we have to do it as soon as possible. Even though we have setbacks, things that are taking us behind, okay? We have to embrace African unity. We have to love each other. And proper ways to do things must be followed. I condemn this. I'm not supporting what is happening in South Africa. No, I'm not. And I'm also not supporting illegal immigration. Proper channels must be followed. Africa must unite. Africa will be great. Kenya, for example, the president of Kenya I think it was last year, said that, look, if you are an African with an African passport, you are free to travel to Kenya to do business. That is the concept of integration that we want. The president of Ghana opened borders for all African countries to go to Ghana to do business. That is the concept that we want. Go to Burkina Faso and Zimbabwe. They had the same concept. That countries which are bordering each other, we don't need to cross borders. East Africa. So if you are East African, if you are an East African citizen, you share the same passport. The borders are open. You can travel from one country to another without issues. That is now integration. So the remaining part is we as Africans to love each other, and we as Africans to open borders, to enable trade, inter-country trade, to remove tariffs and non-tariff barriers. So if we do that, we as Africans are going to realize our potential. So thank you very much. Subscribe if you've not subscribed. If it's the first time here, like the video. See you next time. Bye-bye.